You're listening to All New Nougat Radio, NougatRadio.com here on 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. So the NFL, the playoff races are heating up, and it's unfortunate, but I think the Titans are done. I think the Titans are done. Are the Titans a good football team? Yeah, the Titans are a good football team. The Titans aren't a great football team, though. Great football teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat. The Titans can punch above their weight class. Titans can beat the Patriots. Titans can beat the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. Titans can beat the Cowboys. Look pretty good on Thanksgiving. But for every game that the Titans win like that, the Titans lose to the Dolphins. The Titans lose to the Texans while they're still struggling. The Titans beat the Jaguars 9-6, and it turns out you can beat the Jaguars by a lot. There's no reason to beat them by just 3 points. They lose to Buffalo. They get blanked by Baltimore. They lose to the Chargers by a point in a game they should have won. The Titans aren't a great football team. They're good. They're good. But good doesn't get you into the playoffs. Good does not get you into the playoffs, specifically in their division. Doesn't get you in. And the Titans had a chance because they started off better than all the other teams. I mean, the Texans started off 0-3. They've won 7 in a row since. The Colts started off slow. But Andrew Luck has figured it out. He knows how to throw a football again. And the coaching, the offensive line play for Indy, it's great. The Titans had a chance to run this division, and they can't. They're 5-5. They're tied with Indy. Indy looks better. Luck looks better. Luck is better than Mariota, but he looks better. And he hadn't looked better for a lot of the year. But he looks better now. And again, they have an offensive line in Indianapolis that actually protects Andrew Luck this year. He's not taking sacks. Like, he's on pace to only have 16 sacks this season. He really hasn't taken many sacks, which historically for Andrew Luck is rare. Andrew Luck is used to getting beat up, just getting pushed around in a savage way. The Titans had a chance to run this division. And now the Texans are 7-3. Did the Titans even get a wild card spot? How do I know that doesn't just go to Indy? How do I know? Because, I mean, they're better. They're both 5-5. And if you asked me which team I would rather bet on, well, I'd rather bet on the team with the quarterback in a quarterback-driven league. Mariota is too up and down. Right, it's not like they got Andrew Luck more weapons. He's still throwing to T.Y. Hilton, who's not tall. T.Y. Hilton is a short receiver. Very fast, very talented, great hands. He's short. They didn't go out there and get Andrew Luck weapons. They went out and got him a pretty decent defense while he was injured, so that's nice. And they went out and they got him an offensive line. Right? Even in this past draft, they drafted Quentin Nelson, who's just nasty. There's a hit that he had earlier in the year on Barry Church. Barry Church's whole family felt that hit. In a block for a counter run. It was a real simple run. And there was no need for Quentin Nelson to do that. But because the offensive line is so good, the Colts can run the ball. They got a running game which Andrew Luck's never had. Yeah, I'm going with the Colts. I think the Colts are better than the Titans. I don't want to say it. Like, I don't want it to be that. But how do you explain the fact that the Titans have just let a really weak division slip through their hands and become a strong division without him? And if it weren't for Blake Bortles, the Jaguars would be better than the Titans too. They would. It's hard to be back-to-back division champs in the NFL. But the Texans started off 0-3. And in that span, the Titans lost games that they should have won. They should have beaten Miami because they're better than Miami. And they should have beaten Buffalo because they're better than Buffalo. They're better than the Bills. And that was back when the Bills were losing to everybody. Couldn't beat them. Right? Like the Titans could be 7-3-2 and fighting for the top of this division. And they'd actually be at the top of the division because they're 2-0 in conference. Houston's 2-1. You'd be at the top of the division had you won 2 games that you were supposed to win. 2. And that's all it takes. That's all it comes down to. The Titans go 9-7 every single year. And that's because they're a good football team. But when you're just a good football team, you're 9-7. You're 9-7. You're 9-7. In order to make the playoffs, you have to win the right 9 games. And who even knows what that is? You're just hoping that you win the right combination of games to get you into the playoffs rather than, hey, we could be 10-6. We could be 11-5. We have a good enough football team to be that. We have a good enough quarterback to be that. Mariota's good enough. He's not great, but he's good enough. There's just something about them that they don't do it well. And they're not going to make the playoffs. Houston's winning the division. And if there is a second team representing the AFC South, it's going to be the Colts. Andrew Luck, the turnaround that they've had. They look like an actual football team right now. And the Titans, they look like an actual football team sometimes. Sometimes. And you can take your guess as to when that is. They're averaging 17 points a game, which is 28th in the league. This is an offensive league. I don't know if you've watched the games over Thanksgiving or you caught that Chiefs-Rams game on Monday Night Football. It's an offensive league, you guys. This is it. This is what this looks like. You average 17 points a game. There is no place on earth you can go. Not unless you have the best defense. Not just a good defense. The best defense. Like we're watching the Washington Redskins fall back to earth because they're averaging around that much too. And they have a better defense than the Titans do, and you still can't do it. You're watching the Jaguars not able to win football games this year because Blake Bortles is your quarterback. It doesn't matter what your defense is. Your defense is going to get tired. It can't get off the field when your offense sputters and only scores 17 points a game. And now I'm talking about elite defenses. I'm talking about the Redskins that are a top 5 defense in this league. I'm talking about the Jaguars that are a top 5 defense in this league. If they can't do it, the Titans can't do it. And they've got a tough schedule ahead of them, obviously, because they won the division last year. So they played the division winner schedule. The NFL designs this to make it hard to repeat. They've got to play Houston again this week. Good luck. Good luck. I haven't seen anything from this football team that suggests they could beat the Texans. But the Texans are good now, so they might actually beat the Texans. But here's the thing. They play the Jets, and I don't know if they'll beat the Jets. They didn't beat the Bills. They didn't beat the Dolphins, and those are worse teams in that division. They play Jacksonville again. Are they going to beat Jacksonville? Jacksonville's bad, and they only beat them by 3 points the last time they played. Couldn't get into the end zone offensively. I don't understand what's wrong with the Titans. But even though there are winnable games left on the schedule, and every single one of these games left is a winnable game. Houston is winnable. New York is winnable. Jacksonville's winnable. The Giants game is winnable. They play the Redskins second to last game of the season, and they close out the season with the Colts. Every single one of those games is a winnable game. But the Titans are just an average football team. And they could win and lose any one of those games. There's no game left that I know they can win. Should be the Giants. The Giants are awful. I should know that they're going to beat the Giants. I don't know that. I should know they're going to beat the Jaguars. I don't know that. I should know they're going to beat the Jets. I don't know that. There's nothing on this schedule that's certain and fills me with confidence at all. None whatsoever. And I want to have more confidence. This is what Titans fans want. They want to have confidence in their offense. And this is what good teams do. This is what really good teams do. I watch the Steelers play. I watch the Patriots play. And if Big Ben has time on the clock late in the game and they need points, I don't feel like I doubt that they're going to score. The Patriots, I mean, as old as Tom Brady is, and as old as he has been looking lately, and Tom Brady has been looking rough. I don't want to do that thing where we bury the Patriots, but Tom's looking rough, man. And still, I don't think that when there's 2 minutes left in the game and the Patriots need points, that they're not going to score. I feel like I have that confidence. That's what the really good teams have. They can win games, and they almost seem to will it. The Titans can't. The Titans can't. And they've been average long enough that you want to see the progression towards being able to just pull games out because you have to. And in an offensive league with a quarterback as accurate as Mariota, with a quarterback as athletic as Mariota, I look around the league at quarterbacks who are playing better, and I say to myself, this has got to be coaching. It's got to be coaching. Like maybe it's just the guy himself. But if you just lay out the physical tools of Mitchell Trubisky and the physical tools of Marcus Mariota, Mariota's a better quarterback. Trubisky's playing better. Right? And I wonder where not having an offensive-minded head coach. And again, they did bring in the offensive coordinator from the Rams, but I just think that the Rams are a design of Sean McVay. This is not just. I mean, the offensive coordinator obviously plays a part in the game plan, but the Rams got good when Sean McVay got there. Unless you were going to hire Sean McVay, I think you should have hired a head coach that knows offenses and knows how to scheme guys open and knows how to make things easy for a young quarterback, which Mariota still clearly needs. You could try and make this more complicated for him, but why? You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. I want to shift gears a little bit to the Falcons. The Falcons are a bad football team. They're 4-7. They got beaten to death by Drew Brees and the Saints on Thanksgiving. And you shouldn't feel too bad because lots of people get beaten to death by Drew Brees and the Saints. But this is a team that competed with the Saints early in the year. They looked like a contender. They started off slow. They did play a tough schedule early. And after the slow start, they've just been awful. The Atlanta Falcons have just been awful. And I look around the league, right? I look around the other divisions and I go, they could be the best of the bad teams, which seems like some kind of pat yourself on the back little moral victory. It's not. It's not. And I'll tell you why. First off, it has ramifications for next year. If you're going to be the team that's third or fourth in the division, you're going to have an easier schedule next year. And we've seen teams go worst to first, and that's part of the reason why. You play an easier schedule usually the following year. The Falcons go worst to first. They could, potentially. So if you're an actually good football team, or if you are capable of playing better, if you play easier competition next year, then you should be good. They're not going to be last in the division because the Buccaneers are in the division. But you look around the league and see some of these bad football teams. You got the Niners and the Cardinals. The Falcons are better than them. The Niners are bad because they don't have Garoppolo, but the Falcons are better than them right now. And I'm not going to count 5-5 teams as bad teams because you're still in the hunt and being at 500 is something. The Buccaneers are 3-7, obviously better than them. Better than the Giants and the Eagles are 4-6, but I don't think the Falcons are better than the Eagles. The Eagles have a lot to pull together. But the Eagles are better. But the Broncos are 4-6, the Raiders are 2-8, the Jaguars are 3-7, and even the Titans at 5-5, I think Atlanta's better than. So of all the teams that are not any good, forgot to mention the Packers who are 4-5-1. Of all the teams that are below 500, pretty much only the Eagles are better than the Falcons. So that's good. And also the Falcons have dealt with injuries. So you're going to play a whole lot better when you get guys back. But this is a team that's good enough to have played better. This is a team that's good enough to have won. So why aren't they winning? What can they fix in the offseason? Right? Like, what can they put together offensively in the offseason to make themselves better? One thing is that they've got to have some size on defense. Have to. Their defense is really good, but that's mostly scheme. Dan Quinn is a brilliant defensive mind, and they're fast. You have to give the Atlanta Falcons that on defense. They're incredibly fast. They fly all over the field. The issue is that they're also small. Big power teams push right through them. They can't stop anything. That's why they lost to the Browns. I mean, part of it was the offense never really got going, but defensively, the Browns were able to have their way with Atlanta's defense because they just pushed through it. They ran the ball at them over and over again until Nick Chubb broke off that big run. Atlanta didn't have any answers. Cleveland beat them. Like, Atlanta's defense can be pushed around. And if you go up against the fast offense, speed doesn't mean anything. The rules are geared towards offenses. Speed means nothing at all. You could be as fast as you want to be, and it doesn't matter. Because if you play Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara like they did on Thanksgiving, you're going to get roasted. You're going to get roasted, and they did. And I don't know what the antidote is for the Falcons necessarily, because this is an offense that went to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. And it feels like that window is closing fast. It feels like that window is closing way too fast. It's unbelievable. These things don't last forever. This is a really good football team with big-time weapons, big-time wide receivers. I know they don't have Devontae Freeman, rather, at running back, but Tevin Coleman's not a slouch. He's been running the ball well this year. Matt Ryan was an MVP. Like, why can't they score points? Like, they're 12th in the league in scoring, so it's not like they're terrible. But they have games where they just drop eggs, where it just doesn't work out. And doesn't work out, that's really not going to cut it as an explanation. And it just offensively didn't work out. Oh, they got lots of yards. They don't get into the end zone, though. And the games they lose, especially lately, because earlier in the year when they were losing shootouts. Right? Let's scratch that Philly-Atlanta game to start the year. That was ugh. But they lost to the Saints in overtime, 43-37. They lost to Cincinnati 37-36. And then something happened. When they started losing, they lost 41-17. Lost 20, or they beat the Giants 23-20, but I mean, 23 points for them. They had to score more points. They lost to Cleveland 28-16. They lose to Dallas 22-19. They lose to New Orleans 31-17. Like, when they lose, they can't score. So part of it is the defense, but part of it is the offense isn't putting points on the board for the defense to even protect. They're not losing shootouts. They're just not showing up to games. they're just not showing up to games they ought to be favored in. They've got to get their defense to be bigger. They need some of those guys to come back from injury. But quite frankly, offensively, Matt Ryan and company, this is not good enough, and they just need to play better. You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Chattanooga man was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries after what appears to have been a drive-by shooting on the 1700 block of South Greenwood Avenue. Dispatchers say they got the 911 call sometime after midnight. Chattanooga Police Department on the hunt for the gunman. Hamilton County School System was ordered to pay the family of Luca Hyde over $100,000 because of what they call discrimination. The young man's family sued because they say they sent their boy to a discriminated classroom because of his Down syndrome. The family says he should be in the same classroom as everyone else. The Varnell Police Department captured a thief they say stole items as far north as Chattanooga, towing them away from right under the owner's noses. Loaded trailers, four-wheelers, and other items were stolen. The Cohutta Police Department says owners should be able to retrieve their stolen goods sometime Tuesday afternoon. Police say the thief they caught didn't work alone. Items are taken from Chattanooga, Dalton, even Cleveland. Russell Stroud, Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
The lower 60s tonight. Scattered showers will move through, turning colder late, lows upper 30s. Breezy, chilly all day Monday, highs only near 45, lows mid and upper 20s by Tuesday morning. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ringgold. For more, their number is 706-278-1622. And I'm Sworn Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Pat Report.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
My ex recently hacked my email and my social media, and it really caused me some problems. I changed all my passwords, which helped, but I'm still getting trolled, maybe even stalked. I know it's him. I just can't prove it.
My business, well, it's been broken into twice already. I've got cameras, but that only helps after the fact. I'd rather prevent it from happening in the first place.
Unity One East is your solution to these and many other security concerns. With private investigation, security services, and backed by decades of real-life experience in military and law enforcement, Unity One East is your instant contact for security, investigation, and consultation to help protect you, your family, and your business. No 1-800 number, no red tape, no wait, because Unity One East is local and available 24/7. Reclaim your peace of mind. Call Unity One East, 475-6206, 475-6206.
Whether you have marginal, moderate, or even extensive hair loss, you don't have to live with it. Finally, there's a procedure that becomes a part of you, and it requires no daily maintenance or special care. Let Apollo Hair Systems give you a free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 423-803-1011 and schedule this free evaluation today. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Apollo Hair Systems, 5512 Ringgold Road in Chattanooga. 423-803-1011 for Apollo Hair Systems.
Paid for by Diane Black for governor, Tommy Whitaker treasurer.
So, who are you supporting for governor?
I think I'm voting for Bill Lee.
So you're voting in the Democratic primary?
What?
Bill Lee really ought to be running in the Democratic primary. I mean, he'd see a lot of familiar faces.
Hello?
All right, look, Phil Bredesen's running in the Democratic primary for Senate.
Yeah?
Well, Bill Lee gave Phil Bredesen money.
What? Wait, Bredesen's big-time pro-abortion.
And Carl Dean's the Democratic candidate for governor.
Big-time liberal.
Bill Lee gave Carl Dean money, too. And Bill Lee pushed for Megan Barry to be mayor.
She's pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage,
WPLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
Serving Chattanooga.
Broadcasting live from the center of the universe, the Tennessee Valley's most listened to news talk station.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Quicken Loans.
I'm Allison Keys. Travel will be a freezing mess for some of the millions heading back from the Thanksgiving holiday. Whiteout blizzard conditions are forecast for Kansas City, and there's a winter storm warning in Chicago, where up to a foot of snow and strong winds are expected. National Weather Service meteorologist Stephen Mell has some advice, especially for those who are driving.
We recommend that people not travel unless they absolutely need to. And if they are traveling, to make sure that they have winter weather kit in case they do become stranded.
WBBM TV reporter Lauren Victory is at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, where people are still hoping to fly the friendly skies.
Carriers like United are offering free flight changes. That might be the smoothest part of this process.
It went from 3 to 5, and now I hear they're doing 9 inches. So we actually booked for the day before, and every flight we were on was packed, and everything was delayed, and it's like Christmas chaos level everywhere I've been at the airport so far.
President Trump on a Twitter blast over that caravan of Central American migrants today, vowing no crossings. He has threatened to close the border, but Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst tells CNN,
"We would prefer that we keep it open, so let's work really hard to make sure we're addressing the asylum seekers before they actually come over the border." I think that's the intent of the president, is to divert any issues before they actually happen.
Mexico is denying a report that it will allow immigrants seeking asylum in the United States to wait in that nation. Democrats, including California Rep. Adam Schiff, are still disturbed over President Trump's appointment of Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker and that's effect on the Russian meddling probe.
The American people need to know whether this president is obstructing justice, whether he's obstructed justice in the past, whether his appointment of Whitaker was designed to obstruct justice.
The father of a black man killed by police during an Alabama mall shooting says his son had a permit to carry a gun. 21-year-old Demantic Bradford Jr. was fatally shot by a police officer responding to a Thanksgiving shooting that left an 18-year-old and 12-year-old wounded. Reporter Donna Francavilla.
The family of a black man shot and killed by a police officer say they learned about their son's death through the media. Meanwhile, a lawyer that they've hired is asking the Hoover Police Department to release a video of the shooting. But the police department is not confirming that any such video exists.
In Northern California, the deadliest wildfire in the state's history is finally 100% contained. It killed at least 85 people, burned more than 153,000 acres, and destroyed nearly 14,000 homes. The fast-moving blaze also decimated the town of Paradise. This is CBS News.
National mortgage lender Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Licensed in all 50 states, equal housing lender, and NMLS number 3030.
At Target, Cyber Monday deals are here to give you all the holiday feels. This Monday only, take an extra 15% off top gifts and more at Target.com. That's 15% off an Element 50-inch TV or a Cure K Mini. 15% off cute kids apparel like a flip sequin sweater, and 15% off all the coolest toys. This Monday only, take an extra 15% off top gifts and more at Target.com. Restrictions apply. See Target.com for details.
This week, you'll find great deals at Walgreens. Like 8-ounce Dawn dishwashing liquid, just 99 cents with card. Or get select varieties of Kellogg's cereal, now just $1.88 with card. And kickstart your morning with McCafe 12-pack K-Cups, just $4.99 with card. Get great deals on the essentials you need right here at your neighborhood Walgreens. Walgreens, trusted since 1901. While supplies last, restrictions and exclusions apply. See store for details.
If you're a fan of the Disney movie The Lion King, you might want to sit down and grab your laptop.
If the trailer's any indication, Disney has another hit on its hands. The trailer for the Lion King remake scored views from nearly 225 million people around the world just 24 hours after it was put online Thanksgiving Day.
Remember,
Impressive, but the 2017 trailer for Avengers Infinity Wars drew 238 million views, so it's still a record holder. The new Lion King is a live-action reimagining of the 1994 animated blockbuster. Sam Litzinger, CBS News.
She's already an international celebrity. Now, former First Lady Michelle Obama is a book queen as well. Crown Publishing says her memoir, Becoming, sold more than 1.4 million copies in print and digital forms in the U.S. and Canada since it was released last week. More than 725,000 sold on its first day. Allison Keys, CBS News.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Chattanooga man was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries after what appears to have been a drive-by shooting on the 1700 block of South Greenwood Avenue. Dispatchers say they got the 911 call sometime after midnight. Chattanooga Police Department on the hunt for the gunman. Hamilton County School System was ordered to pay the family of Luca Hyde over $100,000 because of what they call discrimination. The young man's family sued because they say they sent their boy to a discriminated classroom because of his Down syndrome. The family says he should be in the same classroom as everyone else. The Varnell Police Department captured a thief they say stole items as far north as Chattanooga, towing them away from right under the owner's noses. Loaded trailers, four-wheelers, and other items were stolen. The Cohutta Police Department says owners should be able to retrieve their stolen goods sometime Tuesday afternoon. Police say the thief they caught didn't work alone. Items are taken from Chattanooga, Dalton, even Cleveland. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Cloudy for the afternoon, highs mild into the lower 60s. Tonight, scattered showers will move through, turning colder late, lows upper 30s. Breezy, chilly all day Monday, highs only near 45, lows mid and upper 20s by Tuesday morning. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ringgold. For more, their number 706-278-1622. And I'm Sorrentine 12, Chief Meteorologist, Pat Report.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
We just started a family and we're already planning for the future. Michael Levy has helped pave the way to keep our financial future on track. He's local, he knows us, and cares about what's important to us. Don't put your future on hold. Call Michael Levy, 779-7755.
I'm Bo Watson, and I approve this ad. Neighbors, I'm your state senator, Bo Watson. Jobs, education, safety. These were my priorities when I first ran for office, and they continue to be my focus. We've made great progress in Tennessee the past 4 years. Let's keep it going. Believe in Tennessee. Vote Bo in November. Paid for by friends of Bo Watson, Boy W. Watson III, Treasurer, VoteForTennessee.com.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. We've got a matchup, some Ohio on Ohio matchup, Cincinnati, Cleveland today. Hugh Jackson makes his return as an opposing coach for the Browns. And I don't even know what to make of that, except that Baker Mayfield blew him off immediately, which I think is hilarious. That's possibly my favorite beef going on right there. Because we sort of all knew it was there, and there's more there than it at first meets the eye. So we'll talk about that a little near the end of the segment. But I want to talk a little bit more about the Falcons, because they're in the division that is possibly the toughest division in the entire NFL. The NFC South is brutal. And that's part of the reason why the Falcons are underachieving. They have had a ton of injuries. They've been completely devastated by injuries. And they're a very well-coached football team. It sounds like I'm coming down on Dan Quinn. And it sounds like I'm getting after, Matt Ryan and these guys. I am a little, because they still can play better. Julio is playing about as well as you could actually play. But the fact that he's only scored a single touchdown this season, yikes. Something's wrong there. I mean, and I know that some of the wide receiver touches are being distributed in other places, and Julio does take on a lot of the coverage and makes things easier for other guys. I get all that. But if Julio Jones were on any other team, like if Julio Jones were with Brady, like I don't care what happens, you get the ball in Julio's hands. I don't doubt that if Julio Jones were with Big Ben, because Antonio Brown gets doubled a lot too. And he doesn't have just one touchdown this year. DeAndre Hopkins, no, he doesn't have just one touchdown this year. So it can't just be that. There's something scheme-wise going on in Atlanta to where Julio Jones can't get open. And I'm going to continue to be very critical of that because that doesn't make any sense. Like, for some reason, that guy's not scoring more touchdowns. And I don't care about the injuries that happened offensively. He's your best player. Get the ball in his hands. I don't care if you have to run 13 bubble screens a game. You got to get the ball in his hands somehow. It doesn't seem like that's the top priority. And again, this is a team that even with all the injuries, they're pretty loaded, right? They got the other kid from Alabama at wide receiver, Austin Hooper at tight end. Tevin Coleman, like I said before, not a slouch at running back. This is still a very highly weaponized football team. So I'm not going to give the Falcons a complete pass, but the Falcons need to retool because this is back-to-back years where the offense has been absolutely disappointing, and the result is going to be probably somewhere in the ballpark of a 6-10, 7-9 finish because they'll win a lot of their games left. But they're not making it to the playoffs at 4-7 in a division that tough. But here's the thing. The Saints already showed you how to do this. The Saints already had to retool. The Saints look unstoppable now, and they were borderline unstoppable a year ago. They're 11-5, and they were one miracle away from going to the NFC title game where I believe they would have beaten the brakes off the Eagles. I mean, we probably don't even have the Eagles in the Super Bowl, but you put Breeze against Foles instead of Case Keenum in the NFC title game, the Saints are going to the Super Bowl. They were one miracle away in Minnesota from going. And that team, would they have won in the Super Bowl? I don't know. But here's the thing. The year before that, they were 7-9. And the year before that, they were 7-9. And the year before that, they were 7-9. And they needed to do something. They had a lot of problems that they needed to fix. They figured out what those problems were. They addressed them. And they fixed them. To me, this is the height of how to sustain yourself as a football team. Most people can't do what the Patriots do, which is be good for almost 20 years. That's tough. Most people can't do that. Most people can do the next best thing, though. You can be good off and on for a really long time. The Saints go through highs and lows. That's most teams. Andy Reid with the Eagles went through highs and lows. Most teams go through highs and lows, and it's about being able to retool during your lows. The Falcons are on a low. They have an MVP caliber quarterback. They have a very smart offensive coordinator. I don't agree with everything Sarkisian calls, but he's very smart, and they are well coached. It's a very solid defense, respectable defense. It's undersized, but they play their hearts out, and they're fast. So this is a team that is ripe for retooling. They just need to figure out what their weaknesses are, because the Saints had obvious weaknesses when they were 7-9, 7-9, and 7-9. They couldn't run the ball. They were asking Drew Brees to do everything, and if Drew Brees didn't do it, it wasn't happening. Just wasn't. They needed him to do everything for them. And that's even though this is a quarterback-driven league, that's simply unfair to ask of even the most accurate quarterback in the history of football. It's unfair to ask of him because you see the Packers ask it of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the most gifted. He can't do it. That's a lot to ask of that guy. But here's what's really cool. They got him a running game, right? Ingram developed into a solid running back. They went out and got Alvin Kamara to be the lightning to Ingram's thunder. And that running game has opened up. They went out and got an elite wide receiver in Michael Thomas. Now, he's drafted in the second round. I don't know if anybody thought he was an elite receiver like this, but they went out and got him. They went out and got a bunch of undrafted dudes, all of which, by the way, who scored a touchdown on Thanksgiving. A bunch of guys whose names I actually cannot even remember. It's pretty ridiculous. The Saints have gone out and gotten the talent around there. They've boosted the offensive line that was declining. It was aging. They got some defensive players, some key defensive players. They drafted Marshawn Lattimore a couple years ago. He's Rookie of the Year last year. He regressed a little bit this year, but he's playing really well overall. And he's made their defense much better. At the trade deadline, they went out and they got Eli Apple from the Giants. Eli Apple, highly criticized for not being able to get the job done in New York. But when you put him on a defense that already is playing well, you put him on that defense, Eli Apple can still do a whole lot. He was a first-round pick for a reason. And you're the Saints, and you're humming right along. You fixed almost all of your problems. You've addressed your defense. You've addressed your aging offensive line. You've addressed your running game. You may not have gone out and gotten world-class wide receiver talent, but you drafted one guy that is. Michael Thomas is catching 9 out of every 10 passes that are targeted to him. It is insane. He's catching 90% of passes. He's catching 90% of passes. And I'm saying, if you're the Falcons, don't just look at yourselves and go, well, we were injured, and that's why we're not having a good year. That's part of it. That is part of it. I'm not saying ignore that. But you guys, you got to retool. Because Devontae Freeman is hurt a lot. That is affecting your running game. The fact of the matter is, Tevin Coleman is not a number one running back. He does really well with somebody else. And you're using him as a number one running back because you have to. Right? This is a problem. You need to address that running game. You need to address this defense. It's fast, but it's small. Dan Quinn coached the Legion of Boom. And when he came to Atlanta, this is one of the things that everyone needed to know when he came to Atlanta is he's not bringing the Legion of Boom with him. Look at those guys in Seattle that were there when he was there. Michael Bennett, big. Richard Sherman, big. I mean, these guys were not only fast, they were enormous, hard hitters. Atlanta doesn't have anybody like that. They have great open field tacklers. They have guys with a lot of speed. They have guys who even hit hard. But I'm talking like big, enormous dudes that make things difficult for opposing defenses. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Atlanta doesn't have anybody on their roster like that defensively. They need to find some of those guys. Really get some monsters. Would we be talking about the Bears, who are now at the top of the NFC North, the way we're talking about the Bears, if they didn't have Khalil Mack? No, they went out and got a monster. Right? I don't know how well the Ndamukong Suh thing is working out for the Rams, but I understand why you take the risk. You need big guys to really impact offenses in this league. Everything is so geared towards the offense that when you get a chance to hit somebody, you need defensive players who are going to put a hurting on them. And Atlanta doesn't have anybody that does that. Not one person. Again, good team, well coached, battling injuries. There aren't any heavy hitters on this squad. And so to me, that's where the problems start. They need to retool, not just in the draft, but hey, you need to make some trades leading up to the season. And then even during next season, trades need to happen. There are areas of need still on this team. Because if you don't retool, and Matt Ryan is still in his prime, And Matt Ryan is still a very capable quarterback. He's in the upper echelon. He's near the bottom of the upper echelon. Right? He's not Brady, Rodgers, or Breeze. But you can go to a Super Bowl with him. And you can win a Super Bowl with him because it almost happened. Right? The most improbable comeback of all time is the reason why Atlanta is a city with no Super Bowl. But it almost happened. It can. You can do that with this team, with the players on this squad. But you need to retool. You can't ask Matt Ryan to do everything because Drew Brees is the most accurate quarterback in the history of the NFL. And if you can't ask Drew to do it, and you can't ask Rodgers to do it, and for years the Packers asked Favre to do it, these are the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. The Dolphins for years and years asked Marino to do it. If you can't do it with those guys, you can't do it with Matt Ryan. That is a fact. If you can't ask Marino and Rodgers and Favre and Breeze to carry a team by themselves, do everything, fix all our offensive problems, you can't ask Matt Ryan to do it. I don't think that's really particularly controversial. But here's where it is. You got to retool. You've got to make life easier for him. Look at the Colts. Andrew Luck didn't have an offensive line. He was getting beat up. Didn't have a running game. Didn't have a defense. What do the Colts have now? They have an offensive line. He's not getting beat up. The offensive line has improved the running game. They can run the ball, and that defense gets the ball back for him, and he doesn't have to throw the ball 50 times a game for them to win. He just doesn't have to. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's everything you could ask for if you're the Colts. The Falcons need to do it because you're not the Patriots. You're not going to be this 20 years from now or 15 years from now or 10 years from now. Like, you can see it already in Atlanta. The window is closing. I don't know how long they're going to have Devontae Freeman being as healthy as he can be, but he's an important part of what they do. Julio Jones, an important part of what they do. They've got to get him open. They've got to get him involved. And the Saints in your division, in your very own division, have shown us the way to retool. And it didn't take them long. They went from 7-9, 7-9, 7-9 to 11-5. To 11-5. So you're going to have a couple of down years, especially in a division as tough as this one. But this is still a very good football team that has some problems that need to be fixed. The only issue that I'm seeing is that they had these problems last year. They had these problems the year before. You've got to address them. I know Calvin Ridley is a good draft pick to give some space for Julio Jones. If you double Julio, Calvin will destroy you. I get it. But get some size on this defense this year. And if you're a Falcons fan, your Christmas wish list is some big defensive guys. You don't have to sacrifice size for speed. Right? The guys that can do that are out there. The guys that can do that are out there. Other teams have them. So you don't have to sacrifice size for speed. You just don't. Another thing the Falcons can do a whole lot better is scheme. Look around the league at the teams that are the most successful. Josh McDaniels schemes the Patriots into things that I didn't think it's possible. The Patriots are a very underwhelming offense in terms of the talent that they have. Outside of Brady and Gronk, who actually worries you on that offense? Sony Michel is having a heck of a year running the football. But outside of that, what is actually worrying about the Patriots offense? There isn't a single receiver that you worry about. Even the offensive linemen don't stand out in a league where offensive linemen already don't stand out. There's nothing about the Patriots offense that goes, scary. No, what it is scheme. These guys are schemed open. Patrick Mahomes, this is really his first year being the starter for Kansas City. Andy Reid, scheme. Matt Nagy in Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky, he looks good. That's scheme, you guys. That's scheme. Sean McVay saved Jared Goff's career. Jared Goff's career behind Jeff Fisher was going off a cliff. Part of that is Jeff Fisher being an awful coach. But part of that is Jared Goff needs very specific scheme because the talent was already around him. They already had Todd Gurley. But they had trouble getting Todd Gurley open. They had trouble getting him involved in the offense. And once you're able to get him involved in the offense, it takes a lot of the pressure off of Goff. The best offenses in this league are schemed. Look at what Sean Payton does in New Orleans with the Saints. Sean Payton drafted a quarterback, Taysom Hill, and Taysom Hill runs all of these extra packages. I don't think I've seen Taysom Hill throw the ball. Taysom Hill returns punts. Taysom Hill lines up a quarterback and runs wildcat stuff. I don't think I've actually seen it. It's crazy. But that's Sean Payton. Sean Payton is a mastermind. I don't think you need a mastermind, but you do need a very creative person. You even look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys have gotten much more creative in the last couple of weeks. Right? Like, and Atlanta can learn from all of these teams, but mostly learn from the Saints. You got to figure out what your problems are and patch that stuff up. And the way to patch it up is to go through the draft and to scheme around the problems that you don't have, like the scheme around the stuff that you don't have. Right? Like teams that don't have a running back or don't have a running back with a name. You do a lot of zone blocking. Just get the guy a lane and let him run. Just do that. You scheme around your weaknesses and you actually plug the ones that you can through the draft, through free agency, through trading. Trading was not the biggest thing in the NFL when I first started watching football back in the late 90s. People didn't really trade like that, and now it's a big part of it. We actually pay attention to the NFL trade deadline. Now you trade Khalil Mack at the beginning of the season for whatever reason if you're John Gruden. Now you're the Packers, you trade HaHa Clinton Dix. You're the Giants, you trade Eli Apple to the Saints. The trades happen now a lot. You can try and say to your team, hey, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it this year with a trade. But you've got to find ways to retool. The Saints are the perfect example. And if you are the Falcons or any other team that has the talent and you're going through a down stretch, there's a reason you're going through a down stretch, right? It's not just, it just happened. This doesn't just fall out of the sky. Down stretches happen because you're missing something. Figure out what it is, patch it up. You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Touch with Keon Rose. We got the picks next.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1.
Young man's family sued because they say they sent their boy to a discriminated classroom because of his Down syndrome. The family says he should be in the same classroom as everyone else. The Varnell Police Department captured a thief they say stole items as far north as Chattanooga, towing them away from right under the owner's noses. Loaded trailers, four-wheelers, and other items were stolen. The Cohutta Police Department says owners should be able to retrieve their stolen goods sometime Tuesday afternoon. Police say the thief they caught didn't work alone. Items are taken from Chattanooga, Dalton, even Cleveland. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
David Toulis, I made the move 1 o'clock every weekday afternoon, 1 till 3, Nooga Radio.
Tonight, scattered showers will move through, turning colder late, lows upper 30s. Breezy, chilly all day Monday, highs only near 45, lows mid and upper 20s by Tuesday morning. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ringgold. For more, their number is 706-278-1622. And I'm Sworn Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Pat Report.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
Whether you have marginal, moderate, or even extensive hair loss, you don't have to live with it. Finally, there's a procedure that becomes a part of you, and it requires no daily maintenance or special care. Let Apollo Hair Systems give you a free hair and scalp analysis today. Call 423-803-1011 and schedule this free evaluation today. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Apollo Hair Systems, 5512 Ringgold Road in Chattanooga. 423-803-1011 for Apollo Hair Systems.
I live, work, and play in Chattanooga, the scenic city. But when it comes to my next car, truck, or SUV, I'm Alabama bound. Fort Payne, Alabama, and Landers McClarty Ford. Big city selection of new and pre-owned vehicles with the small town price and friendly service. Now, I'm not knocking my hometown, but when it comes to my next ride, I only go to Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. Their selection is huge, but if I can't find what I want, they'll find it for me with the same low price, same great service, and only a short drive away. And I can go online to look around before I leave the house. Got that next dream ride in your head yet? Yeah, you do. Get a head start at LandersMcClartyFord of FortPayne.com. Don't just dream it, find it at LandersMcClartyFord of FortPayne.com. That's right, Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne, Alabama.
Nooga Radio.
More into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric, you're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all three races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nooga Radio.
More into Talladega.
Nooga Radio
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nooga Radio.
Michael McDowell pops a right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocked him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM, 95.3 HD4.
The voice of NASCAR.
Nooga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nooga Radio.
FM. Welcome to Keon Road. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. It's time for the picks because we got a lot of NFL games today, a lot of NFL action. And, my pride, it's mostly about my pride. I do this to basically humble myself because I say it's about my pride. I'm wrong a lot. I have weeks where it's just perfection, and then right when I'm flying high, too close to the sun, my wings burst into flames. It's rough. It's rough time. So here's the thing. We got the first game. It's Raiders, Ravens. Raiders are 2-8. They're awful. Derek Carr got into a fight with John Gruden on the sideline of the last game. An argument. Let me not say fight. They weren't throwing fisticuffs or anything. But they got into an argument, a verbal altercation, and then Derek Carr went out and won them the game. I don't have a problem with the arguing. I don't think that's a sign of a dysfunction. When you work with somebody very closely and the two of you want to succeed, you're not going to agree on everything. You're not going to see eye to eye. You're going to argue. It's can you get past that, right? We saw it in the NBA with the Warriors, Draymond, Kevin Durant. The Warriors have lost 4 out of their last 5. 5 out of the last 6, rather. They're not past it. That's when it's a problem, when you can't get past it. The Raiders are just generally terrible. So that's also it too. And that's another reason why I don't have a problem with the arguing on the sideline. They're not cool with losing. John Gruden, to his eternal credit, as much as he's done a lot to cause this team to lose, he's not okay with losing. He just happens to be losing a lot. And Derek Carr, again, for his part in how bad this team has been, is also not just fond of losing. Right? He wants to win too. So they argued, got past it. The Ravens still going to be rolling with Lamar Jackson, who didn't throw a touchdown last week, but ran a lot, scored one on the ground, and got a bunch of guys very close in the red zone. Very exciting player. There are teams that can stop Lamar Jackson, take away his legs, take away what he does best. The Raiders are not one of those teams. The Raiders are not a team that can stop Lamar Jackson because they traded Khalil Mack, and I will never drop that. How do you do that? How do you do that? Khalil Mack can contain. You're not going to be able to contain Lamar Jackson with the defense that the Raiders have. They can't generate a pass rush, and Lamar Jackson's not bad at throwing the ball either. He's not great. The mechanics still need some work. There's a little bit of baseball throw in the throwing, but, the arm's strong. He can definitely make the throws. Can he make the reads? Can he beat a defense with his arm? This is only his second start. He really doesn't have to right now, and the Raiders aren't good enough to stop him from doing that, or at least stop him from beating them with his legs. So, I'm going to go with the Ravens 5-5, 12.5-point favorites at home. The next game is the Niners playing the Buccaneers in this week's version of the Boo Boo Bowl, which we have every week now because you just have a bunch of bad football teams colliding with one another. Without Garoppolo, the 49ers are a bad football team. They're an exciting bad football team, though. I mean, you can't say that Kyle Shanahan isn't coaching his heart out. That man is scheming players open in a way that I don't think we've ever seen a guy scheme stuff open for quarterbacks we've never heard of. But he's doing it. And they're in ball games. The Buccaneers are 1.5-point favorites. Ryan Fitzpatrick is their starting quarterback. Maybe it's Jameis. The problem is that they're both terrible. And the Niners are a vaguely better football team, despite having one less win in the win column for them. I'm going to go with the Niners on the road to beat the Buccaneers because, have you seen them? The Buccaneers can generate lots of yards. They don't ever get into the end zone. Never. And that's because both of their quarterbacks will throw interceptions like it's going out of style. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it ever again. 2 quarterbacks that bad. It's like having a 2-headed dragon that bites you. I don't even know what you do if you're the Buccaneers. Dirk Cutter's definitely out of a job. You've got to draft a new quarterback now in what a lot of people believe is a weak quarterback draft class. Good luck. Good luck. The next game is the Patriots and the Jets. The Patriots always beat the Jets. They're 13-point favorites, and Gronk is back. I'm taking the Patriots. The Giants and the Eagles are the next game. The New York Football Giants playing a little bit better, Odell Beckham Jr. said hilariously that they can run the table and somehow end up winning the division. Yeah, no, not liable to happen. The Eagles are not playing very good football either. Not bad, but they're not able to get points when they need points. But they are better than the Giants by orders and orders of magnitude. So they ought to beat the Giants. Eli is playing a little bit better for whatever it's worth. The Giants are still bad. 4.5-point favorites are the Eagles. The Eagles ought to cover that fairly easily. That's a touchdown. They can do that. The Jaguars and the Bills in the Boo Boo Bowl Part 2, they're also terrible, but the Jaguars are slightly better than the Bills are because Blake Bortles is slightly better than whatever it is that the Bills are going to run out at quarterback. And these are two actually very elite defenses that are being wasted by quarterbacks who can't play. This is what this looks like. That's what that looks like. The next game up is the Seahawks and the Panthers. The Seahawks are 5-5 after starting off incredibly slowly. The Seahawks are playing inspired football, and they're very hot. Russell Wilson proving again and again why he is an elite quarterback, why he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The Panthers started off great and actually have been in free fall the last few weeks. We have not gotten the best performances out of Cam. He hasn't played poorly, but he hasn't done what you expect an elite quarterback to do, lead his team to victories. There have been winnable games with Cam, with the game on the line, and he hasn't been able to come through. Christian McCaffrey's running the ball decently well, but not very well. He was certainly running it a whole lot better earlier in the season. And this Panthers defense has shown signs of weakness. But that being said, the talent is still there. The talent is still there. Norv Turner's the offensive mind behind it. He's still there. And I believe that is the edge over the Seahawks, who have basically been relying on Russell Wilson to save them. And the Seahawks have played some weak teams. They've been able to beat some teams that are very bad. And moving forward, the schedule's going to get a little bit tougher from here for them. Can they win those games? I'm not entirely sure. Hugh Jackson, that was fast. Hugh Jackson makes his return to the Cleveland Browns after being fired partway through this season. He's now an assistant with the Bengals because, Marvin Lewis hired him because Marvin Lewis is his boy. And you know what the NFL is, right? The NFL is just boys hooking up boys. It's a giant fraternity. There's a reason why these guys always get hired. Don't you ever find it curious that a guy that got fired like 3 years ago is suddenly a head coach again for no reason? What changed about him in the last 3 years that would lead you to believe that he could suddenly coach a football team? Nothing. He's just got boys that hooked him up. Right? Like I wish a lot of other industries worked like that. You know how many of us would just have fantastic jobs? Like if you're a generally nice person, you're just going to get the hookup, man. That's the NFL for you. Boys hooking up boys. Hugh Jackson. Somebody asked Baker Mayfield if Hugh Jackson going to Cincinnati was going to help them somehow have an edge over Cleveland. And Baker Mayfield said no. Just no. Which I think is wonderful. And of course, people got into the speculation about, well, did Baker Mayfield ever respect Hugh Jackson? Did you watch Hard Knocks? Would you respect Hugh Jackson? Like, look at what Hugh Jackson was in Hard Knocks. He was petty. He was silly for whatever reason. And he was entirely unconvincing. I'm sorry. I didn't take Hugh Jackson seriously in Hard Knocks. Would you? What about Hugh Jackson and anything he did in that show would lead you to believe that he was a man worthy of respect? Right. You can put that on Baker Mayfield if you want to, but respect is earned, my friend. Respect is earned. Cardinals visiting the Chargers. The Chargers, to me, are a good football team that underachieves constantly. Constantly. They should be better. They're 7-3, which is good. But they've had some games come real close that they should have beaten the teams to death. They had a Titans game that they were beating the Titans up, and the Titans came back and nearly beat them. They lost last week in another stunner. They're better than this. They're not losing to the Cardinals, though. I like Josh Rosen. I think he's good. But that football team has so many problems. Offensive line, defense. wide receivers, plus Josh Rosen at quarterback's got a whole lot of growing to do just as a rookie being thrown to the wolves this way. There's a whole lot there that needs to happen and needs to change for this football team to really improve and get better. And they're not beating the Chargers as much as the Chargers enjoy underachieving. The Dolphins 5-5 visit the Colts 5-5. The Dolphins are bad. The Dolphins are a bad football team. The Colts, on the other hand, are a good football team. They're trending in the right direction. Andrew Luck is playing some of the best football that we've ever seen him play. The Colts have a legitimate offensive line. They've been building it for years, and it's finally come together. They have a defense that is possibly a top 10 defense in this league in terms of takeaways. And you look at what the Colts have done sneakily behind our back. They have built a very good football team. And that's why I was saying earlier today with the Titans let something slip through their fingers. They started the season better than any of these other teams in the AFC South. And quite frankly, they're not better than the Colts, and they're not better than the Texans. So now they're sitting in third place, and they could possibly be on the outside looking into the playoffs. Can the Colts beat the Dolphins? Absolutely. Absolutely. Andrew Luck is playing incredible football. 8.5-point favorites are the Colts over the Dolphins, and I'm going to take it. Like the home team there, and the Colts should cover that easily. I'm going to take the Colts. The Steelers visiting the Broncos. The Broncos are 4-6. The Steelers are 7-2-1. I don't know what it is with the Steelers. The Steelers start the year. Things look like they're in panic. Things look like they're in free fall. They look awful. You wonder what's going on with the locker room. This year they had the whole Le'Veon thing. Will he show up to camp? Won't he show up to camp? And he never does show up to camp. And the Steelers keep right on winning football games. Who knows why? Maybe there's something in the Pittsburgh water. I'm not actually sure. But this is not a gimme, this Broncos game. It's not a gimme. They have to actually earn this game because, as we know, first off, playing in Denver is always tough. But Denver's defense is really good. Case Keenum is not a good quarterback offensively. He's holding this team back because, with Emmanuel Sanders and some of the other pieces that they have, they should be a whole lot better offensively. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something real good here. That defense makes a lot of really good teams look bad, and that defense has made the Steelers look bad in the past. The Steelers are 3-point favorites. I'm going to take the Broncos. I'm going to take the Broncos in the upset because even though they're 4-6, and even though their quarterback is awful, their defense is fantastic. Their defense is sharp. And I like that. I'm a big fan and I'm a big believer in physical defenses because people talk about the NFL being an offensive league, and this is a quarterback-driven league, and that's true. And because of that, when you have a big, strong physical defense that can hurt people, that to me, that actually becomes more important. The teams with the average defenses are the ones that suffer. If you have a great defense, you're not suffering because the rules are geared towards offense. You can do things that other defenses simply can't do. That's a big deal. I'm going to take the Broncos to beat the Steelers today. The Packers, who they're not dead, but boy, that we're about to hear that solid beep on life support that they've got going on. They play the Vikings. The Packers, to make the playoffs, we need to win every single game that they have left on their schedule. And as much as I love Aaron Rodgers, and as much as I am a big fan and a big believer in what a single great quarterback can do for a team, they ask him to do too much. Kirk Cousins is not elite for the Vikings, but he's got weapons. They're not asking Kirk to do everything. They ask Kirk to do a lot. And they overpaid him because he can't do all the things they're asking him to do. But, he's got 2 number 1 receivers. He's got a fantastic running game, Latavius Murray. He's got a solid defense. It's taken steps back. It's not the defense that anybody thought it was going to be, but it's a solid defense. It's still one of the better defenses in the league. So between that defense and the fact that he's got weapons, and I look at the Packers, their defense is pretty good. It's pretty good. But Aaron Rodgers has to do a lot with young receivers. They're not creative. Mike McCarthy exposing himself. Not a good coach. The Packers can't beat the Vikings today. Not in Minnesota. Not in Minnesota. I can tell you that. And then you got the Monday night game. The Titans and the Texans. Divisional battle, divisional rivalry. Big game for the Titans. The Titans have to win all these divisional games. They've only played 2 so far. The Texans have played 3, have won 2 and lost 1. The Titans won both of theirs. The Titans have to win all of these games. They do. There's not one of the 4 divisional games left that they have that they can afford to drop. The Texans are better now than when the Titans played them earlier in the year. The Titans are the same team that they were. And this is why I say the Titans aren't a great team. They're not a great team. They're average at best. They're not a great team. Great teams get better as the year goes on. I mean, how many times have we counted out the Steelers? And by the time we get to the end of the season, we believe the Steelers are a Super Bowl contender. How many times have we counted out Tom Brady and the fact that he looks like he's 1,000 years old? And by the end of the season, the Patriots look like a juggernaut again. Great teams get better as the year goes on. I mean, we saw the Chiefs. The Chiefs have improved somehow. They've gotten better. The Rams. Every time you think that you've figured out what the Rams are and a team can come in and stop them, take away Todd Gurley and you take away. Nope. Cooper Kupp is injured. Maybe you can finally. Nope. Great teams find a way to get better as the year goes on. The Titans are the same team that started the season. That's no good. Muhammad Ali once said that if you are a 50-year-old man and you're 50, you're the same person that you were at 20, you've wasted 30 years of your life. The Titans are the same team that they were at 0-0 when they finally got above 500, when they were at 4-3. They're the same team now that they were then. And they've wasted all of those games because they haven't improved. They haven't beaten bad teams. Good teams beat bad teams regularly. Good teams beat average teams. The Titans don't do that. The Titans can play above their head every now and then. Yeah, every now and then, the Titans will get into a very fun battle with the Chargers. Every now and then, the Titans knock off the Patriots. Woo! Doesn't mean anything. Not to me. If at the end of knocking off the Patriots, going toe-to-toe with the Chargers, who a lot of people believe are Super Bowl contenders, winning some very compelling games on your schedule, if after all of that, you're 5-5, what am I supposed to make of that? Right? You beat Dallas. That Dallas win is looking better all the time. But who cares? Who cares? The teams that you are supposed to beat, the Dolphins, the Bills, right? The teams that you're supposed to be able to compete with. The Ravens are also 5-5. The Titans didn't just lose against the Ravens. They didn't score. They got Zippo up on that board. These are the teams you're supposed to be able to compete with, beat, and hang with, and you can't do it. So no, I don't care that you beat the Patriots. That's a nice win. Look, it's a good feather in the cap. I'm not saying the win is entirely useless. But what I am saying is that I don't care. If part of beating the Patriots, and if part of beating the Cowboys, and if part of going toe-to-toe with the Chargers means you also lose to the Bills, and it means that you also lose to the Dolphins, what on earth is the point? You're just wasting everybody's time. What you're doing is proving that you can beat good teams, but you got to handle business against Jacksonville. You've got to handle business against these other lesser teams in the league if you're going to be a contender. And the Titans have talent. Maybe they're not Super Bowl contender, but they ought to be playoff contender, and they're not even that right now. And no, on the road, with Deshaun Watson playing some of the best football we've seen since before he injured that ACL, I don't believe that the Tennessee Titans are beating the Houston Texans on Monday Night Football. You've been listening to Clutch with Keon Rose here on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you next week.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news. Now.
Chattanooga man was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries after what appears to have been a drive-by shooting on the 1700 block of South Greenwood Avenue. Dispatchers say they got the 911 call sometime after midnight. Chattanooga Police Department on the hunt for the gunman. Hamilton County School System was ordered to pay the family of Luca Hyde over $100,000 because of what they call discrimination. The young man's family sued because they say they sent their boy to a discriminated classroom because of his Down syndrome. The family